Hello everyone, there was really little news from the gaming world this week, but I have selected some very interesting news for you, especially about the details of the release of GTA 6. I'm sure you will like it. I also want to ask you not to forget to support the channel with a like and a subscription because it helps the development of content. I wish you a good viewing experience and we can get started. Starfield's SteamDB page has recently been updated, indicating that its Shattered Space DLC may be closer than many expect. Bethesda's most recent RPG, Starfield, takes players on a journey across hundreds of planets and moons, with several large cities and faction questlines to explore. Perhaps one of the game's most popular features is the shipbuilding system, which allows players to create their own unique ship builds to take out into space. The Starfield community has used shipbuilding to flex its creativity with an amalgamation of impressive, ridiculous, and hilarious ships. For a major Bethesda title, Starfield's wider reception was a bit mild at release. While it had significantly fewer bugs than Bethesda launches of the past, some felt the use of loading screens and fast traveling to be a bit overbearing. Despite pulling in 6 million players in its first few weeks, Starfield's player count has been steadily dropping over the 7 months it's been out. This may make sense as a single-player RPG. However, Bethesda's games are notorious for having player bases that stick around for years. Many waning players have been holding out for Starfield's Shattered Space DLC to dive back in, and it seems like it may be closer than initially anticipated. Insider Gaming pointed to Starfield's SteamDB page, which had been updated last week. Now, in its DLC tab, an unknown app has been added next to Starfield's pre-order and digital premium upgrade editions. This edition makes it clear that Bethesda may be preparing to add something new to Starfield. Whether it's the Shattered Space DLC or something else entirely is still unknown. A newly emerged job listing from Rockstar may have helped narrow down the Grand Theft Auto 6 release window, suggesting that the highly anticipated game could hit the market as early as Q2 2025. But even if Rockstar is indeed targeting that timeframe, Grand Theft Auto 6 still has a chance to slip into the second half of 2025. The 6th numbered entry in the iconic series was officially announced for the PS5 and Xbox Series XS in early December. The long-awaited Grand Theft Auto 6 reveal trailer stated that the game is coming sometime in 2025, without committing to a more concrete release window. 3 months later, the company alluded to some more specific market timing as part of a newly published job ad. The listing, first spotted by Reddit user TwistyLT, describes an opening for a Russian localization tester at Rockstar Lincoln, one of the group's 3 English branches. The ad explicitly states this to be a fixed-term position on a 12-month contract. Between the fact that Rockstar is currently wrapping up work on only one major project and its long-standing policy of involving all of its studios in its AAA titles, there is little doubt that the advertised position pertains to the development of Grand Theft Auto 6, even if the game itself is never mentioned by name. The description of the job opening seemingly excludes the possibility of GTA 6 launching in Q1 2025, thus narrowing down its official release window by 3 months. Some fans have interpreted the listing as a signal that the GTA 6 release window could still fall in the first half of 2025, having speculated as much on social media. That is not necessarily the case, as even though localization work is traditionally done near the later stages of game development, it is rarely the last thing on any given studio's agenda. The pre-launch period usually revolves around bug fixing and QA testing. Granted, the newly emerged listing does advertise an opening for a Russian localization tester instead of a localizer, indicating that the bulk of the localization work on GTA the 6th of May have indeed been completed by now. But even if Rockstar is indeed planning to have GTA 6 go gold in early 2025, it remains to be seen whether it can actually hit that target. Only one mainline entry in the series managed to launch in the first half of its respective year, and all have suffered at least one major delay during development. Between that and the fact that the holiday season is inherently more lucrative for developers than any other time of the year, a late 2025 release still seems like a plausible prediction. The eventual announcement of the game's console release date should help narrow down the timing of the GTA 6 PC port, which still hasn't been officially confirmed but is expected to happen after the PlayStation and Xbox versions are out. Cyberpunk 2077 has rolled out its latest update, Patch 2.12, with a focus on fixing issues like key binding and improving overall performance. Several issues were reported by players following Cyberpunk 2077's previous patch. The new update targets various platforms including PC and Xbox. Set in a dystopian future in the year 2077, the game is based on the Cyberpunk franchise. It blends elements of role-playing, first-person shooter combat, and immersive storytelling, offering players a vast array of choices that shape the narrative and the world around them. Cyberpunk 2077 is known for its detailed open world, complex characters, and deep narrative, although it faced significant criticism at launch for technical issues and performance glitches on various platforms. After Cyberpunk 2077 Update 2.11, players experienced various issues that CD Projekt Red aimed to rectify with patch 2.12. For PC users, one of the notable fixes included is the resolution of key binding issues, particularly for players using AZERTY keyboards. Now, users can properly rebind functions such as radio port and dropping bodies to different keys without encountering errors. Additionally, the T key has been assigned as the default key for switching quest objectives across all keyboard layouts. The update also resolves stuttering problems related to the Prioritize P-Cores option. It also addresses a crash issue associated with Razer Chroma-enabled devices, ensuring smoother gameplay for affected players. Moreover, a fix has been implemented to prevent NPC hair from appearing excessively bright inside vehicles when ray tracing is enabled. Xbox players will benefit from fixes targeting issues like the game entering infinite loading states or crashing when certain saves are used. The update also includes improvements across all platforms, such as better menu accessibility, updated quick hack descriptions, and enhanced visibility of the controller cursor, particularly benefiting Cyberpunk 2077 Steam Deck users. With Helldivers 2's server issues mostly fixed, a developer update indicates that an upcoming patch will focus more on gameplay and balance. Although the player base of Helldivers 2 has developed a meta, pinning down the game's best weapons and stratagems. A new update from developer Arrowhead Game Studios promises to shake up the game's existing options in a future patch. With the game's first few updates having been almost totally devoted to fixing bugs and server issues, Helldivers 2's gameplay has yet to see any significant updates, although additions like new stratagems and weapons have been teased by the developers. With the game's server issues mostly fixed, however, Arrowhead seems to be gearing up for a more gameplay-focused update. A minor update from developer Baskinator on the official Helldivers Discord server, which can be seen in a Reddit post from user Dean_38, has confirmed that the developers at Arrowhead are currently working on a balance-focused update for Helldivers 2. No further details, such as additional content or a potential release date, have been announced, but a more gameplay-oriented patch would presumably focus on buffing some of the game's underperforming weapons and potentially fixing some issues affecting gameplay, like the currently non-functional armor rating system. Especially in the hardest difficulties of Helldivers 2, the meta has started to revolve around a few distinctly powerful options: the default breaker shotgun, the railgun support weapon, and the shield generator pack stratagem, sometimes with other options like the autocannon or defender SMG making appearances. While these weapons and stratagems aren't strictly required to succeed in higher difficulties, and players can certainly find success with off-meta options, they have formed a somewhat over-centralized core that can feel limiting for players who want to maximize their effectiveness in missions. With most of Arrowhead's efforts so far having been devoted to increasing server limits and allowing more players to actually access the game, it's currently unknown what a future balance patch could look like, but it's likely to include some much-needed buffs for the game's less powerful weapons and stratagems, allowing players to use more varied loadouts. As Helldivers 2 moves past its biggest launch issues, future updates are more likely to have a focus on gameplay. A number of gameplay details about Assassin's Creed Red have emerged online, having been outlined in a new report from a credible industry insider. Among many other things, the leaked information suggests that the upcoming game will completely overhaul the Assassin's Creed series parkour system, which is something that hasn't been done in about a decade. Assassin's Creed, codename Red, was officially announced in September 2022 as part of that year's Ubisoft Forward event. Prior to the game's confirmation, the fandom spent years asking for a mainline series entry set in feudal Japan. While Ubisoft's 2022 announcement delivered the long-awaited answer to those calls, the developer-publisher has revealed little concrete information about the game ever since. And while that radio silence continues, some unofficial insights into Assassin's Creed Red have now surfaced online, courtesy of Insider Gaming's Tom Henderson. The big-picture stuff outlined in the new report mostly revolves around the game's purported engine change, with sources close to the project alleging that Red will use an updated version of the company's internal Anvil engine called Anvil Pipeline. Among other things, the new engine is said to bring support for full-fledged ray tracing, which would be a first for the Assassin's Creed series. The engine switch is understood to be motivated by Ubisoft's desire to streamline the development of future installments in the franchise. Up until now, the company's many Assassin's Creed studios have all predominantly worked with their own branches of Anvil. And while technology standardization of this sort could help shorten the development cycles of future entries, the undertaking is also said to require laying some groundwork that hasn't been revised in a while. Assassin's Creed Red is hence set to do a complete overhaul of animations and core systems such as parkour and dynamic weather, Henderson reports. Meanwhile, the game's combat is purported to resemble that of Valhalla, with the report specifically mentioning that Red will feature a lot of gore, including decapitations. Enemy dismemberment wasn't present in Mirage, but was a frequent outcome of fights in Valhalla. In terms of stealth, Henderson listed the ability to extinguish torches, hide in foliage, and go prone at will as some of the mechanics that will be available in the game. That particular claim matches a late 2023 leak alleging Assassin's Creed Red will take a page out of Sekiro's book and feature a grappling hook. One final detail mentioned in the report concerns the evolution of Valhalla's settlement. Now called a hideout, the new hub location will be even more customizable, allowing players to go as far as to decorate the interiors and exteriors of their buildings, deciding on everything from roof designs to weapon and armor display arrangements. Ubisoft's latest financial report suggested Assassin's Creed Red will release during its forthcoming fiscal year, which dovetails with previous reports indicating that the game is targeting a November 2024 launch. The next Battlefield game will reportedly have a free-to-play Battle Royale mode and is targeting an October 2025 release window. According to Insider Gaming, the next mainline Battlefield game will include 64-player matches, the return of its 4-class system, and an overhaul to its destruction mechanics. The story will reportedly focus on modern technology and war and set between the years 2025 and 2030. The game is reportedly in development over at Ripple Effect and under the direction of Byron Bede, who has previously worked on leading live service operations for Call of Duty. It also has 2 different game modes at the moment, a classic Battle Royale experience and one called Gauntlet. This mode pits teams against each other in objective-based modes, and the team with the lowest score gets kicked out after each mission. EA confirmed that the next Battlefield game would not arrive until 2025 at the earliest. There are several Battlefield experiences currently in development at multiple EA studios, and Ridgeline Games is the one focused on bringing single-player campaigns to the series. Game director Marcus Leto abruptly left Ridgeline's games earlier this month, but has since clarified that he departed voluntarily. EA announced a major company shakeup that will result in roughly 670 individuals, or 5% of its workforce, losing their jobs. As a part of that same reorganization, Respawn's Star Wars FPS in development at Respawn is being canceled. Following CEO Andrew Wilson's announcement of the cuts today, EA Entertainment President Laura Meal shared a note with staff explaining in more detail what EA's business priorities would be going forward. This includes her announcement that EA is shutting down an early development Star Wars FPS action game as a part of an ongoing focus on its own owned brands and supporting its existing games. It's always hard to walk away from a project, and this decision is not a reflection of the team's talent, tenacity, or passion they have for the game, Mila wrote. Giving fans the next installments of the iconic franchises they want is the definition of blockbuster storytelling and the right place to focus. Not much is known about the Star Wars FPS, but it was rumored to feature a Mandalorian protagonist in some way. The fate of EA's Star Wars strategy game is also unclear. EA is undertaking the move in part due to what it perceives to be a rapid shift toward large open-world games, massive communities, and live service games. IGN understands that the team previously working on this game will largely be reassigned to other projects including Apex Legends, Iron Man, Black Panther, and Jedi, for which EA has confirmed a third installment. The Star Wars Jedi franchise will continue despite EA's move to focusing on owned IP, and EA is said to remain focused on its long-standing relationship with Disney Marvel. Additionally, EA will be restructuring its Battlefield teams somewhat following the departure of Marcus Leto announced yesterday. It's sunsetting Ridgeline Games, folding some of its developers into Ripple Effect. Danny Isaac and Darren White at Criterion will oversee single-player work on the series going forward, and EA also will sunset a number of mobile games, including the already announced F1 Mobile Racing and MLB Tap Sports, as well as Kim Kardashian Hollywood and The Lord of the Rings. Heroes of Middle-earth, which was released less than a year ago. Gray Zone Warfare is an upcoming tactical FPS from Madfinger Games, and it's currently one of the most wished-for games on Steam. It's set to deliver a realistic and intense shooter experience that's written as being more player vs environment than player vs player, with hundreds of AI enemies being spread out across a 42 square kilometers jungle map that's based on a real location. With never-before-seen healing and combat mechanics, 48-player servers, and a persistent open world that accommodates base customization and heart-pounding exploration and looting, Gray Zone Warfare understandably has shooter fans foaming at the mouth. Moments ago, Madfinger revealed what's coming in the early access version of the game. Gray Zone Warfare, which was revealed late last year, has generated a lot of hype based on how good it looks at first blush. I recently sat down with Madfinger's Rick Lagnies to learn about the depth of this title and to find out about some of the game-changing features that the studio is implementing to make an impact from the get-go. Plenty is coming in the early access version of the game, including 6 vendors that offer a whopping 150 quests, intricately customizable weapons with more than 400 swappable parts and more than 80 pieces of equipment to make use of in the dense jungles of Lemang. Lagnies explained that Gray Zone Warfare walks the line between being many different types of game, incorporating the best elements from some of the top genres. It's an extraction shooter without being an extraction shooter, a milsim without being a milsim, and an MMO without being an MMO. There is squad-based gameplay and player vs player elements, but all the same, you can team up with another faction and take on the threats of Lemang together, or betray them and fly home from an LZ with their loot. That's another brilliant aspect of Gray Zone Warfare. Players will be able to suit up in a fob that's located on the very map they're exploring. They can navigate the open world at will, unhindered by a time limit and accompanied by their squad. If they die while out in the world, they'll be reset to the fob, which is one of the extraction shooter's elements of the game. Madfinger has put intense effort into making the enemy AI as realistic as possible, implementing emotion-based mechanics that determine how an AI opponent behaves when faced with certain situations, such as overwhelming incoming fire. With VWhip, enhanced player interaction, deeply authentic weapon handling, and a combination of Unreal Engine 5 elements and Madfinger's proprietary engine for features like dense foliage, Gray Zone Warfare is shaping up to be a paradigm-shifting title. Embracer bought Borderlands maker Gearbox Entertainment for $1.2 billion back in early 2021 amid an unprecedented acquisition spree that's since turned into a financial disaster. Now, just 3 years later, Kotaku has learned that Gearbox is closer than ever to being sold out from under what is arguably the most hated company in gaming. Gearbox CEO and co-founder Randy Pitchford held a town hall with staff earlier this week, in which he told employees that a decision had been made regarding the studio's future, with more information to be shared next month, according to 2 sources familiar with the meeting. For months now, Pitchford has told developers at Gearbox that there were 3 possible scenarios: stay with Embracer, sell to someone else, or finance a buyout and go back to being independently run. Kotaku understands that the decision was made to sell, and a deal is in the late stages of being finalized. Rumors of a sale first began swirling last September after Reuters reported that Embracer was weighing whether to sell the crown jewel in its crumbling studio empire, following the loss of a reported $2 billion in financing. That money was supposed to come from a Saudi-backed game investment fund, according to a report by Axios. Without the extra capital, Embracer imposed a brutal cost-cutting regime on many of its recently acquired studios, which resulted in layoffs as well as entire closures. Rockstar Games, a division of Take-Two, Interactive Software Inc., will ask employees to return to the office 5 days a week beginning in April, as the video game maker enters the final stages of development on its next game, the hotly anticipated Grand Theft Auto 6. In an email to staff on Wednesday, reviewed by Bloomberg, Rockstar head of publishing Jen Colby said the decision was made for productivity and security reasons. The company has faced several security breaches, including a massive dump of early footage from the new Grand Theft Auto and an early trailer that leaked in December. Bloom. Kolba wrote that the company also found tangible benefits from in-person work. Making these changes now puts us in the best position to deliver the next Grand Theft Auto at the level of quality and polish we know it requires, along with a publishing roadmap that matches the scale and ambition of the game, she wrote. But that's not all. Legendary artist Anita Ward may have just hinted at her involvement in Grand Theft Auto 6. This led some fans to speculate that one of her iconic songs that was already featured in GTA, San Andreas, although sung by a different artist, could also be part of GTA 6. The first Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer that debuted in December was edited to the rhythm of Love is a Long Road. The 1989 song is one of the most recognizable parts of Tom Petty's discography. Anita Ward's portfolio of works also isn't lacking in hits, but none of them come close to her disco rendition of Ring My Bell by American songwriter Frederick Knight, which topped several music charts on both sides of the pond following its 1979 release. Whether GTA 6 ends up featuring the more famous version of the song or any other one of Ward's hits remains to be seen. The newly emerged Spotify cover does appear to hint that the legendary singer is involved in the game at some level, as it's unlikely that her label would just decide to use the logo of Rockstar's much-anticipated title without permission, which could have legal implications. Some fans went as far as to speculate that Ward's Ring My Bell may end up being featured in the second GTA 6 trailer, arguing that the song would be a perfect fit for it. Regardless of those theories' veracity, the likelihood of Rockstar dropping another trailer anytime soon appears slim, as the developer historically took around a year to share second looks at its upcoming Grand Theft Auto games. In the meantime, Ward's Spotify channel currently appears to be enjoying a massive GTA 6-induced spike in popularity, having jumped from 615,000 monthly listeners in late January to over 745,000 as of February 24th. And that's it for now. I hope you have found something new and interesting for yourself. If so, please like and subscribe to the channel. I will be pleased. Also, write your opinion in the comments, and I will definitely read it. Thank you all for your attention, and see you soon.